Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Arjuna Uvacha Kim Tad Brahma Kim Adhyatmam Kim Karma Purushottama Adhibhutam Cha Kim Proktam Adhidaivam Kimuchyate. Arjuna inquired, O my Lord, O Supreme Person, what is Brahman? What is the Self? What are creative activities? What is this material manifestation? And what are the demigods? Please explain this to me. I guess I'll read the purport in English because we have quite a few devotees who don't understand Tamil. We have some who don't understand English or Tamil. What to do? Arjuna inquired, O my Lord, O Supreme Person, what is Brahman? What is the Self? What are fruitive activities? What is their material manifestation? What is this material manifestation? And what are the demigods? Please explain this to me. Purport. In this chapter, Lord Krishna answers different questions from Arjuna, beginning with, what is Brahman? The Lord also explains karma, fruitive activities, devotional service, and yoga principles, and devotional service in its pure form. The Srimad Bhagavatam explains that the Supreme Absolute Truth is known as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. In addition, the living entity, the individual soul, is also called Brahman. Arjuna also inquires about Atma, which refers to body, soul, and mind. According to the Vedic dictionary, Atma refers to the mind, soul, body, and senses also. Arjuna has addressed the Supreme Lord as Purushottam, Supreme Person, which means that he was putting these questions not simply to a friend, but to the Supreme Person, knowing him to be the supreme authority able to give definitive answers. So we may wonder, what's this got to do with me? What is the relevance of this to me? I'm sitting here in Salem, Tamil Nadu, and what is Brahman? What is the Self? What are fruitive activities? What is the material manifestation? What has it got to do with me? I need to eat 3 times a day and live my life, and what's this question? It has no relevance to me whatsoever. We don't find this kind of thing discussed in the newspapers. Well, we might think that, why is Arjuna asking this? What's the relevance to Arjuna? You might think that he would ask Krishna that, what is the method to overcome the enemies in the battle? You're a great fighter, Krishna, so tell me, remind me of some of your skills. And that's practical, isn't it? He was about to fight a battle. So often people bring this to us, that, what's that got to do with me? I've got real things to worry about. I'm concerned with the real world. But Arjuna was asking these questions on the battlefield. He was in a pressing situation. I know what that means, a pressing situation. Yeah. And we go in the next verse. Ultimately, the questions come to Prayana kale chakatam gayoti niyatatma vihi. That how can, at the time of death, how can the Adhiyagya, the Lord of Sacrifice, how can it be understood? Niyatatma vihi means those who live ordered, controlled lives. It's not a subject for understanding for people whose lives and minds are not controlled. Not regulated. So even though Arjuna was in this situation, a highly pressing situation, he was concerned with ultimate reality. Arjuna's question was not simply about whether to fight or not fight. That was the question, to fight or not to fight. But the level on which Arjuna was asking the question was on the level of what is my ultimate duty. And therefore Krishna explained it to him. to understand this, we have to understand what is our existential position. What is going on in the world and beyond this world, and where do I fit in? So it may seem that the whole of reality is concerned with filling my belly 3 times a day and that of my family members. That is one level of perception of reality. Anamai, pranamai, that's the low level. The level of I, me and mine. Aham mameti. So Krishna is explaining and Arjuna is asking, going deeper to understand this properly. Arjuna wasn't the kind of, you hear stories of people, but in the modern age they get a machine gun and they just go and shoot a bunch of people. And this is the soldiers in the modern war. There was that one Croatian devotee, you remember? His mind was very disturbed. He was telling his mind was very disturbed because in the war he used to go into villages and with a machine gun and just kick down the door and just shoot everyone dead. Just man, woman, child, dog, everything. Suicide ultimately. Or maybe he's not sure. Anyway, he died. So Arjuna wasn't that kind of this kind of very gross fight. He was a very highly principled person. He wasn't. You see, to get people to fight, you say, "Come on, man, we gotta smash those, and we gotta defend the country." And this is how you motivate people to fight. And what is it that makes a man will just like there are so many examples. That D-Day is very famous in Britain anyway. How there's so many soldiers, the British and American soldiers in Normandy, in northern France, they were charging into machine gun fire. Now, how do you motivate people to run towards people shooting you with machine guns? How do you do that? So people have the idea, it's glorious for our country. So, but Arjuna, he wasn't on such a base or foolish level. He really wanted to know what's right, and he was prepared to fight fully if he thought it was right. Otherwise, he was not at all prepared to fight. So sometimes people may interpret, Bhagavad-gita, it's like the forces of good and the forces of evil, like this. Of course, but it is. It's a question of actually what is correct for us to do. But it's not allegorical. It's very specific. In the purport of the very first verse, Srila Prabhupada points out that how some foolish people, they say that Kurukshetra represents the body and the 5 Pandavas, they represent the 5 senses. That's Mahatma Gandhi, actually. That's his foolish interpretation. But it's not allegorical. Yes, it's a discussion of what is right and what is wrong, but Krishna is a person, he is the supreme person, and right is to surrender to him and wrong isn't. That's the point. Arjuna and Krishna are not mythological people. They say that Vyasadeva is also mythological. Then who wrote all of this? Mahabharata and Purana. Unknown author. So, all these questions are relevant to every person in every time and place and circumstance. Even in the most pressing of circumstances, this understanding has to be retained. Often we hear people, even sometimes devotees, say that, that's all right, but we have our real life problems to deal with. There's a misunderstanding that philosophy is for idle people or rich people, and for most people the reality is that you just have to work hard. But actually, philosophy is required for every person. We're not really people, we're not really humans in the full sense unless we ask these questions. Arjuna's question here, King Tad Brahma, what is Brahma? What is the ultimate truth? That question qualifies one as a human being. Atato Brahma Jignasa. This human life begins with inquiry into ultimate reality. So without asking these questions, one may be very busy running here and there, but he's not fulfilling the purpose of human life. Without asking these questions and getting the proper replies, one cannot come above the level of the animals. That working hard and earning money to fill the belly and just completely absorbed in material desires without understanding that I'm eternal spirit soul. So this Bhagavad-gita is relevant to every person in every time and every place, and it's just another phase of Maya to think that it's not relevant. Now, as Srila Prabhupada has mentioned, this Krishna conscious movement is meant for preaching Bhagavad-gita, this knowledge of Bhagavad-gita as it is all over the world. So what is that? Is that another sectarian religious movement? As some people are pushing the Bible, some people are pushing the Quran, and we shall push the Bhagavad-gita and make some rivalry with them. When Srila Prabhupada visited Gainesville in Florida, there was some interview on TV there, Florida, USA. So the interviewer was trying to press Prabhupada and trying to make him look like some sectarian. He was trying to, they're very expert, these people, in asking questions, and they want to make people look bad. So what's your purpose in coming here? People are they're already Christians, already this religion, this is being followed by the people of this culture for hundreds and thousands of years. Why come and preach something else? So Prabhupada explained that it's not a question of being in competition with any religion, but we want to give actual knowledge of who is God, who are we, and what is our relationship. As Srila Prabhupada notes in the introduction to his Bhagavad-gita as it is, that here in this Bhagavad-gita as it is, you'll find all that is in all the different religious books of the world and more. Because actually these not only Bible, Quran, but even in all the Puranas, you won't find the very clearly delineated knowledge of who are we, who is God, what is our relationship, who are the demigods, what is Brahman. It's all there, concentrated in Bhagavad-gita. Even in the Vedas, you see that's Traigunya Vishaya Veda. The Vedas are mostly concerned with Karma Kanda, which is just, it's not spiritual knowledge. And then Vedas, and when you Atato Brahma Jignasa, one inquires into Brahman. This is the first sutra of Vedanta Sutra. So sometimes this is understood to mean, or some commentators have said that when one realizes that the Karma Kanda section of the Vedas is that we have to go beyond this, then we come to the Jnana Kanda. So that is called Vedanta, or the ultimate knowledge of the Vedas. Vedanta means the Upanishads. What we often say Vedanta, we think of Vedanta Sutra, but actually it means the Upanishads, and Vedanta Sutra is the explanation of that. But it's mostly in very abstruse language, I mean indirect, subtle, and it doesn't clearly delineate the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yadad Vaitam Brahmopanishadi, the prayer describing our glorification of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, says that what is described in the Upanishads is generally understood as the impersonal understanding of Brahman. So So Bhagavad-gita serves the same purpose as Vedanta Sutra. It's Gita-Upanishad. All these questions of Arjuna, Kim Tad Brahma Kim Adhyatma, Kim Karma Purushottama, what is Brahma, what is the Adhyatma? I mean, this very term, this is Upanishadic, it's very highly philosophical language. Karma, what is the understanding of this term? It seems a very simple term, but it's actually, there's so much deep philosophy behind understanding what is karma. So this is everything is summarized here in Bhagavad-gita. And brings us to, Bhagavad-gita also, spoken by Bhagavan, Purushottama, the Supreme Lord, brings us to the conclusion of understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Bhagavad-gita is often misunderstood by impersonalists who are accustomed to understanding the message of the Upanishad in an impersonalistic way. So they see the same language and the same concepts in Bhagavad-gita. But they also see discussion of the Supreme Lord and Bhakti, which they think, well, that's more like a Puranic discussion. That's the kind of thing that's discussed in the Puranas about Bhakti. That's for less intelligent people. So they think, oh, the Bhagavad-gita is wonderful. It has brought together the Upanishadic and Puranic concepts, and then you see, then you do Bhakti to the Supreme Lord, and then ultimately you understand everything is all one. Because due to their misfortune, their envy of Krishna, they're fixed in this impersonalistic way of thinking. When they see the Kim Tad Brahma, what is Adhyatma, what is Adiyagya, Adibhuta, Adita, and they think, oh, this is all the same. And then this is all impersonal, impersonalistic. And they're not able, because they're not able to hear, as Arjuna heard, they're not able to be taken as Krishna took Arjuna. From these concepts lead automatically to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead and our relationship with Him. They're not able to follow that. So they start off with a preconception that they already know what the conclusion is, and therefore they miss the conclusion. They are unable to understand how all this high philosophical discussion, the conclusion is Manmana Bhagavad Bhakto Madhyati Mang Namaskar, that we should bow down to Krishna. It seems that bowing down to Krishna, that's for very simple people, and we have this very high philosophy. They are unable to appreciate that what is the greatness of bowing down to Krishna. They think that by understanding this philosophy, you become very great. You become Brahman. They see people bowing down to deities and they think this is a very low level. Asking for some benediction for the deity, from the deity, it's on a very low level. You become a higher level, then you become more than the deity yourself. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he explained, or he gave the key to understanding Bhagavad-gita and all the Shastras. Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishana Amanida Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari. That one should have the feeling that I'm lower than grass. One should be more tolerant than a tree. Then one should be ready to offer respect to others, not desire respect for oneself. And in this mood, one can actually chant the holy names of Krishna. One cannot actually chant unless one has this mood. One who is chanting Hare Krishna, thinking, I'm so great, I'm so wonderful, I'm senior, I'm superior. That chanting is not chanting. That is not Krishna Kirtan. That is simply inflating one's false ego and taking one further away from Krishna. So those who have not understood or accepted this principle, then just like the Mayavadis, they're simply, all their spiritual life is simply inflating their false ego. So this key Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given. It's easy to say, One should be more humble and grasp. It's very difficult to have this mood because we're practiced to thinking in a different way. But unless we can adopt this, then we remain outside devotional service. We don't really understand anything about it at all. Even we can learn shlokas and discuss philosophy as if we understand it, but real understanding is manifest in those who are becoming this free from the egotism of thinking I am very great. Why we see people come to devotional service with so many strange ideas. I've seen many times people, they want to get initiated because they'll think, well, then the others will think I'm important. Now I'm not initiated. When I get initiated, then I'll be important. And now I'm initiated. Now I have to get Brahmin initiated, and then I'll be more important. No idea what actual initiation is. They never, and even they get initiated, actually they're never really initiated at all. Because Diksha means Divyam Jnanam Yato Dadyat, the transmission of divine knowledge. So they say, well, yeah, I know so many shlokas. I can explain, I give good class, and people are appreciating and say, oh, you gave very nice class. But if one is, by all these activities, if one is simply feeding one's sense of prestige, then it means you never even began bhakti, or what it means to be a disciple. I was hearing Tamal Krishna Maharaj explaining something about the Buddhist gurus. Of course, they don't know what they're doing, but how severely they treated their disciples. He was explaining how there was one guru, he told his disciple, now you build this house, build it. So he built it up to 3 stories, all by himself. And he said, now you break it down. Didn't explain anything about so-called spiritual knowledge, just build this house, that's all. And then before it was finished, break it all down. No explanation of why. And then build it again. And then break it again. And then again. So many things he put him through. Then after, a few years of this, he said that, I'm just preparing you, because when you really have to enter into spiritual discipline, then you have to be, you have far more difficult things to do than this. So that idea is there, that the disciple should be fully surrendered, just do whatever he's told to do, without any egoism or personal plans. We don't ask people to do stupid things like build a house and then break it down again. That's meaningless, but then Buddhism is, the whole philosophy is philosophy of meaninglessness. Nirarthavadam, philosophy of meaninglessness. So, but the principle is there, that one should be prepared to follow and accept discipline and difficulties in this. But we don't build a house and break it. Do something meaningful in the service of Krishna. Of course, as I was saying this morning, that we're following the Pancharatric system, not the Vedic system. When I say we're not following the Vedic system, that means it's not that it's non-Vedic, but we follow the Pancharatra section of the broader Vedic literatures. Because if we see, just like listed in Hari Bhakti Vilas, what are the qualifications to be a disciple? Well, there wouldn't be any disciples if you had to fulfill all of them. You have to be practically a pure devotee to be a disciple. But the Pancharatric system is that if there's some sincerity, all right, give them a chance. As Srila Prabhupada explained, that normally the system is that you become qualified and then you are given the post. First you're trained and then you become a judge. But our system is that we give you the post and we train you on the job. You come up to the standard. So it is very important to understand. It's not that you get initiated, now I'm already there. Now I'm already perfect. That means you're recognized as a student. It doesn't mean that you're Bhagavan. One first qualification, disciple. Shishya means Shishyatam. They should accept discipline. So Arjuna, he was qualified to hear Bhagavad-gita because he fulfilled the three conditions. Pranipat, Pariprashna, Seva. He was fully surrendered to Krishna. He was in a mood of submission, that yes, I accept you as an authority. Then asking relevant questions. So many people come and the only thing they ask is for blessings for their child to pass his examination. And then Arjuna, he's ready to serve Krishna. It's not just that he's asking questions and, okay, all right, that's your opinion. He wants to serve. He wants to do what is right. He wants to pass his life in a way that is the proper way of doing. Arjuna was in the mood of seva, thinking. He wasn't just thinking what's good for me, but he was thinking what is the best thing I can do for the whole of human society, to fight or not to fight. Unfortunately, the modern idea of getting a guru is just very shallow. There's just a show of making some obeisance. There's either no discussion of philosophy, or they just discuss or they discuss it in a very superficial way, without the desire to understand what is the actual truth. And for seva, they think, we'll build a big ashram for our guru, and then everyone will respect him, and I'll be a senior disciple, and then they'll respect me. I'm a member of a big institution, and I have a big position. I'm a senior disciple. I'm a committee member. So in this way, people become disciples, and what's going on is they're inflating the so-called guru's false ego and inflating their own false ego, and there's absolutely nothing to do with spiritual life whatsoever. Sorry, you didn't finish? You finished. The Trinadapi Sunichana. This is just unimaginable for the materialist. And even if we go through the motions of devotional, so we get up in the morning, we chant, and we do our service and this and that, but unless we're really cultivating this mood of surrender and humility, then we don't really go anywhere. It's rowing the boat, but we forgot to untie it from the post. So we're rowing, and going nowhere. So these are all very complex and deep topics which Krishna deals with summarily in this chapter. Arjuna asks one-line questions and Krishna gives one-line answers. So actually it's very, very deep topics. But the one question which Krishna doesn't give a one-line answer to, which he dedicates most of the chapter to, is Arjuna's last question in this series of questions in 2 verses. Prayana kale chakatam geyosini atamadi. This is the really important question, how to remember Krishna at the time of death. So that has to be cultivated throughout life. In this chapter, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada again and again and again quotes Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is the way to remember. This is the solution. So this chanting, the whole spiritual life is perfect. Everything is taken care of by this chanting. What is the meaning of this chanting? O Krishna, O energy of Krishna, please engage me in your service. Very simple, but that the proper adjustment of consciousness to understand what this means. Srila Prabhupada, he taught what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught, just chant Hare Krishna and everything will be perfect. And then why so many books? Why was Prabhupada busy writing so many books? If you just chant Hare Krishna, then what's the need of so many books? Because we have to learn how to chant Hare Krishna. Because Bahu Janma Kore Jadi Shravan Kirtan Tabuta Na Pai Krishna Pade Prendam. We may be apparently chanting Hare Krishna, but we don't get the effect. Even in many lifetimes, we don't get the point of what it means to pray to Krishna, to be if we don't get the point of what it means to be engaged in Krishna's service, then our chanting will be like just like gramophone record. You can make you can make this wind up. You see, they used to have this wind up machine, and you wind it up, and it ding 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 makes some noise. So the machine can make the sound, but the machine doesn't become purified because it's dull. There's no consciousness. If there's no consciousness of pleasing Krishna, then that chanting will not be recognized by Krishna. Sharanga Sharanagati Hoive Jahat Tar Prasana Shune Srinanda Kumar, who is cultivating the 6 aspects of Sharanagati, surrender. That prayer, the person who is cultivating that, the prayer of such a person is heard by Krishna. So that praying dhan, which may not be had, Bahujanma kore jadi shravan kirtan sabutta na pai Krishna pade prentan, that wealth of love of Krishna, which may not be had even after many lifetimes of so-called chanting. How to get that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained. Harshi Prabhu kahe shuno shurup Ram Rai ki bhave nama loyle prema upajay. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, smiling, said to Swarup Damodar and Ramananda Rai, now you just listen, what is the method of chanting that prema arises? Chunada pisa nichena taro, this is what he said, tarora pisa amanina amanadena kirtaniya satahi. This way, if we chant, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, then love of Krishna will arise in the heart. So all these books are meant to get this point, to understand all this point. Adinala Hare Krishna with a humble serving mode. All these services one is engaged in, they're meant for cultivating this sincere, humble serving mode. That will make everything successful. Any question on this?
Maharaj, the 6 types of Saranagati, the 6 types like grass we are humble and tall, but for Saranagati, the 6 types of it's not here.
Not 6 types, but there are 6 aspects of Sharanagati. You don't know what these are? You should learn. Otherwise, how are you going to do it? Isn't it? If we don't know what it is, then how can we even try to do it? So we should know what these are. This is listed, these 6 are listed in a verse which is included in Sri Hari Bhakti Vilas and quoted in Srila Prabhupada's purport to Bhagavad-gita as it is, chapter 18, text 66, which describes that we should surrender to Krishna. Mam ekam sharanam vraja. So there are not 6 types of Sharanagati, there are 6 aspects, and all of them have to be there. Not that you just choose one. There are 9 principal processes of devotional service. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada, Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. Now one can perform any one of these processes and achieve perfection. But to achieve perfection in any of them, the Sharanagati must be there, all 6 aspects. It's not that just you can take one and forget the others. Sharanagati means the path of taking shelter of Krishna or surrendering to Krishna. So those 6 aspects are anukulyasya sankalpa, to make a firm resolve to only do that, say that, think that which is favorable for the service of Krishna. And pratikulyasya varjanam, everything which is detrimental to developing love of Krishna must be given up. Rakshishyatiti vishvaso, to trust Krishna, that Krishna is protecting me. And goptritve varanam tata, that Krishna is maintaining me. Atma nikshepa means to fully to fully give ourselves to Krishna. And Parapanye in a mood of full humility, considering myself very low. So let us try to understand what this is. Otherwise we may be doing the processes of devotional service, but we won't really enter into what that is. Ultimately, that what we do, it's not a matter of what we do. I gave 5 lakhs, so much money I gave, or I distributed so many books, or I built such a big temple. Ultimately, none of these things matter. What matters is that Krishna is pleased with us. You can build a 5,000 crore temple. It might not please Krishna, because for Krishna it's like a drop of sand. Krishna can make billions and trillions. He's already got all the best temples and palaces. If the mood is not there of wanting to please Krishna, then Krishna won't be pleased. There's so many examples. Prabhupada, he would just, when he saw his disciples becoming puffed up, he wouldn't recognize them at all, literally. One devotee, Hari Vilas Prabhu, was saying that Prabhupada, he had arrived at the temple in Paris, and he came a little late. He was organizing something. Hari Vilas Prabhu. So he was describing, I was thinking, I'm the temple president, I'm very important. So he walked right in and walked right in, up to the front and sat next to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada didn't look at him. And one devotee was introducing all the devotees to Prabhupada. This devotee, he's doing this service, and Prabhupada was saying, oh, that's very good. He was saying something about each devotee. Thank you very much. And then he came to Hari Vilas. This is Hari Vilas Prabhu, as our town president. Prabhupada still didn't even look at him or say anything. He just didn't look at him. There are so many instances like this that Guru Das Prabhu was telling that he was thinking, Prabhupada had given him some service to do, to go to some place and do something, and just as he was going, he walked into Prabhupada's room and said, "Oh, now I'm leaving, Prabhupada." Now I'm going to... Prabhupada, he just didn't say anything, didn't look at him, just turned around and went in the toilet. So Prabhupada was pleased when devotees performed services. He was very pleased when they did that in a surrendered mood. But however big the service they might be doing, if Prabhupada detected that they were doing that to inflate their own false ego, he just wouldn't reciprocate with that at all. Prabhupada was so kind that he didn't assist people in their attempts to go to hell, because that's ultimately what happens. And we've seen it so many times that people in the name of Bhakti have just cut their own throats. That they start to think, I'm big, I'm important, and then they think they're superior to others, and then eventually just by their offenses, their whole devotion is spoiled. So let us try to understand what is Sharanagati, not just in an academic way, but in our lives, in every moment of our lives. So you please learn this. No one should get initiated without knowing this. They should all know what are these 6 points. In the Goya Mat, at least at the time of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, even if people were not educated, at that time most people were not, they weren't educated, but they had to know the basic points of the philosophy. Amnaya Praha Tattvam. They may not even know the verse, but they had to know these principles. What are the basic points? The Amnaya Praha Tattvam, that the spiritual knowledge is received through the chain of disciplic succession, which is based on Shastric knowledge. That's the first point. Now, this verse is actually given by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Of course, there's no difference. So that's the Praman, is the Guru Sadhu Shastra. And then 9 points, Prameya. What are the points which they are described? That Hari, Lord Krishna, is supreme. and he is Sarva Shaktim, he is replete with all energies. And Rasabdhim, he is an ocean of rasa. Tadvipinang Shalasa Jivam, the Jiva is his separated part and parcel. That is the English translation of that. And the Jiva can be in two states. Prakriti Kavalitam, he can be in Maya, or Tadvimukta, he can be free from that also. So, and then, what is the sadhana is Shuddha, the sadhana is Shuddha Bhakti, the process for developing Krishna consciousness is Krishna Shuddha Bhakti. One should follow this process. And then by doing that one develops love of Krishna. Satyam Tat Pritim. So at least one should understand these basic points. What is Sharanagati? Otherwise we don't go anywhere. We don't know where we're going. How are we going to go there? And sometimes speak in the mic so everyone can hear. Hare Krishna. So how can I speak into the mic?
Hare Krishna. How to practice this Trinatapi Sunichena? Sometimes we are thinking that we are practicing this Trinatapi Sunichena, and then later we are finding that we have more ego than normal person.
Say it in Tamil also. You don't know Tamil? Therefore we have to hear regularly and accept the discipline of being a humble servant. If we make the endeavor to go down, that let me be a humble servant, then the Vaishnavas from the higher platform will lift us up. If we try to go up and think that I should stand on the Vaishnava's head, then Maya will